Hello and welcome to our post NRF interviews. So let me introduce Paul Winsor, who is head of retail and industry at Snowflake. So, Paul, welcome to the podcast. For those who don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about the company that you work for, Snowflake, and what they do?
Yeah, thank you, Alex, and thanks for having me today. Yes, so a bit of background about myself. My career in retail can be split perfectly down the middle. I spent the first 19 years of my career at Sainsbury's, where I think in those 19 years I got an incredible understanding of the retail business, and it was a great 19 years in the company. But my last job I had at Sainsbury's, my last role was all about the data component and how data is shared and collaborated on with large CPG companies. And
Right.
that led me into my next 19 years of my career, which is always, it's been in the data and analytics space. So I spent 19 years pretty much working for companies that are helping retailers solve their data challenges, whether that was with data warehousing in the kind of first generation of when data warehousing became something that retailers invested in. I've spent a number of years in the whole BI space, and then recently in the AI space around automated machine learning. And 2 years ago, I got the opportunity to join Snowflake, which is the leading data platform that was born in the cloud. And Snowflake's mission today is to mobilize the world's data. So this opportunity to give access to retailers for the data they need with the data consumers that need to consume that data in a way that makes it easy and approachable in the way that they tackle their data challenges. So been with Snowflake for just over 2 years. I lead our industry go-to-market for Snowflake in EMEA. We have a number of retail customers today that are publicly, publicly I can talk about that's using Snowflake. One of them happens to be, if I can point to it correctly, Alex, Under Armour, which obviously I've got my Under Armour and Snowflake top on today. To talk about how they use Snowflake from their supply chain perspective. And then my old company that I work for, Sainsbury's, is also a customer of Snowflake, as well as John Lewis and River Island, if we kind of localize this down to kind of the UK market. So
Sure.
that's about me and a little bit about Snowflake, but love to get onto the conversation of NRF as well.
Yeah. So I just want to. This is in the spirit of what my audience is thinking, because every talk at NRF that had anything with AI in the title, irrespective of what technology vendor or partner it was from, you can imagine all of the major players had AI in their title. Everyone was super interested. So I just want to be cut to the chase. And in my mind, and I'd love your opinion on this, how much of AI that we talk about is true AI as opposed to machine learning plus, right? So for those who are data specialists, they'll be like, well, that's just, that's machine learning. We've been doing that for years. That has nothing to do with AI or generative AI. And I'm just thinking from a strategy perspective, before we sort of go deeper down and down, if we just keep it at that high level, what are your thoughts in actual AI outcomes? And if you want, why don't you define what AI means to you,
Yeah.
and Snowflake, and then we can sort of distinguish, because that was the biggest frustrating thing for me, that people were just like talking about machine learning as if it was AI and hoping that no one would ask that question of like, but hang on a minute, that's just machine learning. That's like something that you could put in an Excel spreadsheet and extract data outcomes from. So go ahead, tell me.
Well, I mean, it's a great point to kick off with, right? So, without a doubt, those 3 days in NRF, the number one hype and the topic and the theme was Gen AI and large language models, without a doubt. But I agree with you. Not many of those people that were in those speaking sessions went much deeper than just sort of reflecting on the fact that this is something that they'll be looking to try and experiment with.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, From Snowflake's perspective, and perhaps it sometimes does get missed off here, is that you can't have an AI strategy without a data strategy.
Absolutely.
Now, sometimes this gets lost. Now, this is something that we're trying to kind of
Can I just interrupt you there?
Yeah.
Is that because is the reason because there's a separation between the two? Because the people talking about the subject are not from a data, like yourself, from a data background. What's the reason for the disconnect between the two?
Well, I think we've now come into a new era of how AI can be used, because generative AI is something that can now be used. Large language models is something that can be used and deployed. But if you think about it, it can't be used without the data. So if you don't have a data strategy, and by a data strategy, we mean for you to be able to truly get the best value out of building a Gen AI model or a large language model, you are going to need to have access to the data that you need to build that model. Now, this has been a challenge for a number of companies for years. This is how Snowflake has grown so fast as a business, is that lots of data sits in multiple silos. So you can't just connect a large language model when data sits in multiple silos. You need to have that data unified. You need to have that data in one place. You need to have it governed. And also, Alex, what's really important here is you need to have the kind of framework behind it so that when you start to build these large language models, it's contained inside your own platform for security purposes. But the first thing that any company needs to do, when we start to hear from our customers that are keen to hear about Gen AI and large language models, we always ask the question, where are you in terms of your data strategy? Do you have the data today ready to start to take advantage of those large language models and Gen AI? And I don't believe I heard that in NRF. I heard exciting, I heard market signals, increase the efficiency of the supply chain, but I didn't hear anything about the fact that first and foremost, you need to have a really good unified data strategy.
So I'm not going crazy thinking that, right?
No, not at all.
So that is like there was, because I was thinking, but just maybe there's an LLM that you've not thought about, Ali, that's actually magically presenting the data into these platforms.
No,
because all the platform providers, that's their, come with us on the journey and we'll take care of it. But I'm thinking, if your data is not ready, and as we know, most of the industry is not ready because everything sits in silos. So let's just talk about the if you like, the silos and breaking that down as well. So does my finance data need to sit, like, how do I manage that? My finance data, marketing data, my ERP data.
Yeah.
Where do I start with my silos within my business, or my systems, to be fair?
Yeah, well, this is one of the key strategies that Snowflake is helping to solve for our retail customers. Of course, you have the source systems where the data actually is generated and curated, but that's not where you would take advantage of building large language models, Gen AI, machine learning models, analyzing that data to understand business performance, looking at past historical sales, etc. We all know that that's just where the data is sourced and generated from. You need to bring that into a platform, which is where the data can be consumed. So where Snowflake's been helping retailers for a number of years is to bring exactly those functional data sets that you just mentioned here. You need to have your finance data alongside your marketing data, alongside your supply chain data. If you're thinking about running a campaign that is a promotional campaign to your consumers, you need to understand their behavior. So that's all of the customer data residing in the same platform as your inventory data, because if you're going to be promoting stock, you need to understand if you actually have the stock available to actually promote those brands. And you need to have your finance data available to understand the costs of running these promotions. So bringing all of that data together is an absolute necessity. And this is what we've been helping our retail customers in the first instance. Now, Gen AI and large language models is just taking that on to another level. But again, this is just another capability to start driving those outcomes and those predictions. But the underlying part, which unfortunately is not the interesting, exciting part for many people, Alex, is you need to have that governed, unified data platform where you can consume that data from. And then I'll go one step further as well, which is something that many retailers are not necessarily truly taking advantage of to a wide degree, is in order to kind of build real good predictions on future behavior or detections of market signals, you need to access third-party data as well. So think about all those third-party data sets, Alex, that some of the biggest data providers in the world are monetizing today. Now, everybody draws their attention straight away to weather data because it's been something that's been talked about in the retail industry for 20 years. But we're also talking about demographic data, economic data, ESG data. We've got all of these types of data sets that could also be enriched alongside your own data to then run those kind of Gen AI and those predictions as well. So you need access to that third-party data. Now, another little tiny plug for Snowflake here, Alex, is Snowflake has the largest marketplace on its platform of third-party data sets. It has over 2,200 third-party data sets sitting on the Snowflake platform. So if you are a Snowflake customer and you're unifying all of your own first party and all your own data unified together to start to really understand your business, but you feel that there might be a competitive advantage to access third-party data, that data is available to you as well as part of the platform for you to enrich it, bring that together, and now you're really scaling the way that you can do predictions on things like AI.
So if we take sort of the data economy in action and drawing from your experience from whichever, whether it's Sainsbury's, Under Armour, or one of the retailers that you mentioned, and understanding that they must have had some data strategies that, they already set and now leveraging your platform. Can you share any sort of, I don't know if any of them were in customer data or the loyalty program area.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious is what the use case is, and then what the intelligence is that's being drawn out to make actionable business outcome. So have you got any examples for us?
Yeah, I do. So I think if you look at Snowflake's opportunity to drive success for our retail customers today, the typical conversations that we're having. So we've had those data conversations. You need to unify your data, you need to bring it together, you need to be able to give it seamless access to that data to all your data consumers. That's the first part of a roadmap of a data strategy journey. Bring that data together. We are now having conversations with our retail customers today, which is around, no surprise, Alex, this is no kind of surprises for you. And also what is now a hot theme as well. Customer 360 does not go away, and it continues, and it will never be sold. Customer 360 will never be sold. We know that. But it's about now this opportunity to bring all your data together from a customer perspective. I don't know if you picked up on this at NRF, but one of the sessions I think I went to, and I think it was Sephora and Abercrombie and Fitch, I think, was speaking at that session. And they were talking about, moving now from personalization to individualization. So this idea now, the personalization is, we want to personalize as much as we can our relationship with the consumers. Yeah. Now we're getting down to that level of granularity with the data. The data's all unified together. You've got the capabilities with modeling in AI and this potential around large language models. Can we get to the point where we can start to individualize those relationships with our customers as well? And you can see that happening just here with Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's are now offering 10 products every 7 days to their Nectar card members that is absolutely personalized and individualized to those shopping behavior. To be able to bring that data together, if you're a Nectar card holder today, every Monday you'll get those 10 new offers that are absolutely individualized and personalized to you. To be able to do that, that's really understanding previous customer shopping behavior and doing that really, really well. And you can see from their results, and they talk very positively about how Nectar pricing is driving revenue from that perspective. So customer 360 is a big factor.
Yeah.
I've got another two I'd love to just touch on. I'll be quick. The second one is no surprise again, is that supply chain. So, Under Armour talk publicly about the fact that they use Snowflake for the importance around sharing data, Alex, to make the supply chain more efficient. We know that there are so many situations in a supply chain where that flow of goods can break down. The idea that you can support that with data sharing is really important. And where Snowflake does this exceptionally well is we can help to share data between two companies without moving or copying the data. So this is a really good example where in supply chain, you need to share data of sales, of inventory, of demand. And what you don't want to do is turn that into a supply chain of data having to move. Where Snowflake does this exceptionally well is around that sharing of data between two companies. So that supply chain is another key strategy for a lot of our retail customers. And then the final one that I want to sort of touch on is, I don't know if you heard it as well, but retail media. I mean, retail media is where the next...
I was just about to ask, that was going to be my final question for you. Because retail media is absolutely, how do I combat the battering I'm getting from inflation by generating new revenue from other means? So yeah, absolutely, fire away on that.
Well, look, I captured a ton of notes here from last week. This was US numbers, Alex, but for those listening in today, you've got retail media generating $60 billion of revenue in 2023. That's expected to increase to $100 billion in 2028. So 4 years away from that increasing to $100 billion. They're talking again very positively at NRF about the next era of we're in the golden generation of retail media. And this is because now we've got this opportunity physically in store to start generating those advertising and those promotions through those digital screens that you can use and place around the store. And then you've got that absolute fantastic instant response to whether or not that advert, that advertising and that product has resulted in the product being purchased. And then the closing that loop to how much was that return on investment for that advertising. So we're seeing a lot of our retail customers now wanting to get really solid on their first party customer data, because they can use that to really decide which is the best times to promote which items through their stores. And then the other part of retail media, Alex, which is again where Snowflake really comes in, is we're now seeing this growth of off-site media advertising. And again, the numbers were staggering. So again, at NRF last week, they talked about currently off-site media revenue is about $6.7 billion in 2023. That's taking what you can advertise of goods off-site into advertising and media channels, which is away from your on-site channels. That growth is set to go from 6.7 to 24 billion in the next 3 years. And that's because you can take that data now and you can start to monetize it through off-site channels.
But is that, Paul, just to interrupt you on that, but I see that as, so I get the outcome that, if you're delivering adverts in store, then delivering those adverts off-site somewhere else.
Yeah.
But again, because I've sort of grown up in this industry, the MarTech stack that you need to develop something like that, I don't know. I don't see it as easy as, so I guess the possibility and the numbers are there to say, look, if you can do it, it is, but I don't know, like if I took the UK grocer market, bar two of them, I don't think the others could do that, right? I don't know. You've got experience in the UK market and obviously one of the grocers you're working with.
Yeah.
But I don't see how they could, because obviously then you're just looking at the integration with sort of expanding that problem of data sets out across other assets that might be owned by other people.
Well, it's interesting. The integration part's the really important word that you just reflected on here. So So of course the grocers are leading the charge in terms of the way that they can do this. They can take that marketing budget and they can invest that in offsite channels. But this is where the risk is at right now, is obviously protecting personal identifiable information. It's PII, customer data, your data and my data. And what you don't want to do is, once you've brought that together inside a data platform like Snowflake, and you've actually governed it and you've got it secure, and now you're protecting that data and you're using it for your own insights and your understanding of your customers in your business. But now you're thinking about a media strategy where data needs to actually be shared outside of your platform and with advertisers and media agencies, etc. Now we're into the real era of data clean rooms. Now this is where the conversation may get a little bit more too technical, but for those listening in today, you know, data clean rooms is a fantastic way of being able to share data but not expose the data. It's a beautiful way of sharing data and insights without moving the data. And so we're starting to see capability baked into platforms like Snowflake to allow you to be able to share data without moving or copying or exposing it. And I think that's where we're going to see the platform capability enabling that growth of that retail media, so that advertising can happen offsite, but the data stays governed and secure. So that's where we're talking to most of our customers today.
Brilliant. Paul, this was going to be a quick fireside chat, which I think has given the audience a lot of food for thought. Any sort of, where do you think we'll be at next year's NRF? Because it's like almost, do you have any views of where this is all going? Will it be AI.2.0 or something?
Do you know what? I thought you might ask this question. So when I went 12 months ago. I think you were saying at the start, before we started this podcast, you've been for the last 13 years. Last year, I took away 3 key themes. The first one was, how do we help serve the consumers that are dealing with a cost of living crisis and inflationary pressures? So it was very much about dealing with those kind of consumers. The second one was, how do we move from promising to proving that we are delivering an ESG sustainability strategy? And the third one was, how do we optimize our assortment and our prices, again, connected to the cost of living crisis that was very much in focus 12 months ago. That felt quite a challenging time and very much immediate. If you look today, the 3 key themes was Gen AI, it was retail media, and the third one was, where did I get the third one? Please don't let me go off here. Oh, the third one was connected consumer, Alex.
Yep.
It was the 3 that were absolutely focused this time. That felt more optimistic. If you ask me in 12 months' time, I think we may be at the point where the NRF is going to be asking retailers to prove out how they've adopted Gen AI, large language models, how they've been able to get to the point of individualizing those relationships with customers. I think we're going to start to see more proof rather than just concept talking.
No, that's wonderful. Paul, thank you so much for giving up your time in the day. And I look forward to seeing what you guys carry on doing to support retailers go through this journey of transformation.
Well, listen, really appreciate you inviting me on here, Alex. It's been a pleasure and great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.